All coming up on episode 35, we're going to talk about what you're putting in your body. Could it make you spiritually possessed? Along with a documentary that Josh and I watched years ago that basically was prophetic. It basically told us the future. You want to find out what that is? You got to keep watching. And lastly, we feel like we're in one big psyop. Let's explore that. Let's talk about what people are going through today. All that and more on episode 35.
Please like, share, subscribe.
For 25 years, we've walked side by side, brothers forged in the Marine Corps. And when the call came, we chose to walk with God. This is our journey. Welcome to the Not of This World podcast.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Not of This World podcast. I'm your host, Josh, here with my buddy, Steve.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
So we're a show, Not of This World podcast, where we like to look at clips of what's going on in the world, whether it be news or, opinion clips, whatever we find interesting. And we like to use our experience as former Marines, as entrepreneurs, as devout Christians, and give our take on everything that we're seeing of what is going on in the world and why we remain not of this world.
Yeah, Josh, it's been kind of a crazy 2 weeks because I had my roof repaired. And so we had to skip an episode last week. And of course, the week we skipped, the Epstein files have just dug up more dirt. And I was texting you the other day and I'm like, oh, there's gonna be something that comes after this because they've got to get this out of the news cycle. It looks bad for everybody. And then I think the next day, Trump's and Obama's getting into this whole thing there's aliens, and they're getting into that now. And you're like, well, here we go again. Just sharing that kind of information about what we're going to talk about today. It's kind of along those paths where we're looking at the things that they're feeding us. And we've kind of done episodes like this before, but it's a little bit different. Josh, do you have any a Bible quote that goes with this? Because I told you that's what we're talking about. Do you have something that made you think of that?
I do. Let me pull it up really quick. We've got so I've got two Bible quotes for us today that we'll use here. And the first one is going to be Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. That one stood out to me just based on the topics that you gave me. Mm-hmm. There is just so much evil when you start talking about psyops, when you start talking about, government involved in this, Epstein type stuff. And to me, it's just, we can't understand. We don't get the full truth. We don't get anything of what's actually going on in this world. And so it's really just leaning on the Lord, and he'll keep us on the right path. And then the other Bible verse I had today is Ephesians chapter 5, verses 6 through 10. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not become partners with them. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true, and try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord.
I think the second one's going to stand out in this episode. But they're both great, but
based on the topics you gave me, I wanted to get into discernment, I thought,
right,
with the Bible verse. And that one I think is a perfect verse for that. We need to be able to discern through the Holy Spirit, listening to the Holy Spirit on what is truth in the world and how we can live through it. And so I kind of wanted to combine those two with that discernment, not falling into the evil path, into the evil traps, and then leaning into the Lord so that we can remain on that straight path.
Nice. I've shared some times with you when we were doing the podcast that things that have been I'm noticing in threes is when I that's from God for me. It's okay, I'm diving into it if it keeps on recurring. And a lot of times recently, that since we've been doing a podcast together, I sometimes find it really incredible to get done with our podcast, and when the minute we're done, or the minute I've been talking to you about something for the podcast, I will see it on the other shows or other things I'm paying attention to. I'm like, me and Josh already talked about this. This is crazy. I feel just almost like when your phone hears you want to take a trip somewhere and it pops up on your phone. It feels very much like that. So the first clip I have is something about that. Can I show you that clip real quick? It's from Tim Pool.
Yeah.
We've got this from Newsweek. Trump is going to announce aliens are real. Newsweek, I love this. You know, it's a slow news day. Newsweek ran this as their second lead article. Trump UFO announcement rumors persist online, what we know. And I'm going to stress this. Instead of starting off the article with, there is no evidence to suggest this is true, this is an online rumor with no basis, they started by saying, rumors that President Donald Trump is planning a major speech about unidentified flying objects has been growing online since claims published in early February suggested a major revelation may be imminent. Mark Christopher Lee, a British writer, filmmaker, and ufologist, said in a Monday email in part to Newsweek, quote, a Washington insider I have known personally and conducted business with has repeatedly affirmed that President Trump has prepared a historic speech acknowledging extraterrestrial visitation and the existence of recovered non-human materials and craft. Newsweek has not verified the claims. So here's the trick. The way they format their news articles makes you get all excited and hot and bothered. And then you got to scroll way down to where it says it's probably not true. The unnamed source is saying this and this. There's no evidence to this. There's no evidence of a planned speech, all at the bottom of the article. But hold on. This story has persisted for some time. Take a look at this from TMZ. Trump knows about extraterrestrial life forms, says the Age of Disclosure director, November 2025. Obama, being jealous, says aliens are real. You guys saw this. Washington Post reporting aliens are real, Obama says, as Washington shrugs. The former president appeared to confirm decades-old conspiracy theories, but then he walked back his podcast comments. Here's the funniest thing. A former president of the United States went on a big podcast and said aliens are real, and no one cared. No one cared. This is the test, the trial balloon, to where now they actually could announce aliens are real, and people will be like, yeah, we get it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, this has been something that's been brewing for a couple of years now, right? Like ever since they stopped calling them UFOs and started calling them UAPs, there were people that were saying, well, that there are UAPs, and the government saying, but they are UAPs, and
can we just get to the real story already? Can we the real conspiracy?
What?
You know why Obama said on that show that aliens are real, right?
He wanted to get good odds on the Kalshi betting markets?
No.
Oh. Truth maxing?
No. It's because the Cabal deep state called him up before the show and said, this Epstein stuff is really bad. Please say something to distract people from it.
So Josh, that video came out the day after I sent something to you saying basically the alien stuff was happening, and I'm like, it's a cover up, but it's nice to hear other people who are listening to a lot more than we are so far share the same opinion as us.
Well, it's funny, as before he even said it, the only thought going through my mind is they have played this card out for so long that no one even cares anymore.
Yeah.
There's the people who are the alien fanatics, I can't. They have to announce it, whatever. And so, of course, those people care. But, for the most part, people are like, yeah, okay, cool.
Right. So for me, for the new guests who are brand new here, and if you go back and watch former episodes, I took some time off of watching the news for a little bit recently, and it kind of was like a reset for me. But it's been really interesting because I've come to see things a little bit differently now, where I'm not going to say I find humor in this stuff, but it's almost like a different sense of entertainment for me, because I'm trying to predict things. Because I'm like, what are they going to do next? What are they going to do next? Because I don't know if you've ever seen it before. There was a clip of this undercover videotape of these people on national news talking about what they're rolling out as the game plan for the future of the news cycles of once this plays out, we're going to move to this. Once this plays out, we're going to this. And with us being an election year, I was going to ask you, what do you think is going to happen in the news recently? Because there's going to have to be some outrage on both sides, right?
Okay. Before I answer that, I do want to say the fact that I just said they announced aliens and no one cares. Think about how far the world has fallen, how insane it's gotten. That
100%.
That we could say there's aliens and people would be like, eh. But on top of that, the fact that they could actually be rolling that out to cover up for a giant child trafficking and bad stuff to children ring that's been happening for so long with the highest people in our society, the highest, whatever, valued people in our society. They're using aliens to cover that. And that's what we're going through. That's how far the world's fallen. That is nuts.
It's the state of where we're at. Like, they were doing the State of the Union address tonight, but it's like,
The level of these topics that we're talking about, and people are just so desensitized to everything. So I feel like they won. They accomplished everything they ever wanted to accomplish. So now they can literally announce the craziest stuff you could ever even imagine growing up. And people are just like, meh.
See, I think I brought this up on last week's episode or 2 weeks ago. You start to notice when, after COVID, there's all these keywords you can't say on YouTube, which is the largest platform for anyone to get information from now. And it's all the words that if you were to not be able to say things about the Epstein files, those are all key words that are being brought up. And at the same time, this agenda about LGBTQ and the push of it wasn't never that. I don't think people had a problem with people being gay. Whatever your sexuality is, it wasn't a huge deal. It was this push on children. And I don't know how big of a push it was because I never saw it personally. But there was definitely a push that you're seeing all over the country that you're like, these things are all combining so much that it almost was like, we got to get ahead of this, years ahead of it before anything comes out, to the point where you're just explaining right now, like, we are so desensitized to, even on YouTube, you can't say the words. You got to tippy toe around it and call it different things. It's just a red flag.
It's wild. It is so wild. So back to the
that's
original question you asked me. What do I think is going to happen with the upcoming midterms?
Right. Well, there's going to be after a news cycle coming up, in my opinion, and it's going to be a push for, you're going to have to make the Republican Party look bad because they're the ones in power. So if
They
they've
try
already
to do every single day.
right, if they're already doing the ICE thing, that's obviously part of it. The Epstein files are probably going to be awash by that point, so they've got to come up with a new playbook, and the Republicans will too. I'm not saying it's going to be on both sides. Do you want to make a prediction, or do you have a guess at what's going to happen during that time? Because I'm sure I'd love to hear in the comments too. Like, there's got to be some predictions that people are like, they're going to roll out. I mean, the aliens thing's going to work for a little bit, but it's not going to hold weight during election time.
Well, I mean, it's hard to make a prediction like that when we're literally talking about Epstein files and aliens not being enough, right? So
Yeah.
that's pretty insane. Thinking about it though, they usually will pull out the same bag of tricks every single time with new material. So they'll bring racism back in. They'll stay on the LGBTQ thing. Of course, there'll be tons of news things about how many women have died because they didn't get an abortion. There'll be the ICE stuff will get played up again. There will probably be a major event in one of the cities. And I don't know. I don't know how much further it can go. Are they going to actually do a fake alien landing? I don't know.
You could be. I think the only thing, and I'd hate to, like, I don't want to put this out as evil. I think there's something could be something with terrorism.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that could be a really big, sad thing that happens. But I'm saving it for a future episode. But there's definitely some things happening in the world that I haven't brought up in the podcast yet because we're waiting for a special guest to come on. But definitely some stuff that I've seen that are red flags. Even the thing that led me to stop watching news was sharing some of the things I'm learning about with you. And you were kind of like, dude, I think you need to take a step back. As a caring friend, you're like, dude, I think it's time to pump the brakes a little bit and let God lead us and not be scared.
Yeah. I mean, you could be right. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening personally. I think that has the fear tactic of worrying people about it happening because of all the people being let across the border and yada, yada, yada. Like, I think that was the purpose of that whole talk. I personally don't see one actually happening.
Okay.
Not a major. I mean, there could be if any lives are lost, it's major, but I mean not a 9/11 level of event. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just there's all this speculation around 9/11, right? And how some people believe it was exactly what we were told, and other people believe there's more to it.
Yeah.
And so like I don't really know per se. They're just it just seems really unclear. Like I think everything in this world right now to me is like the only thing that makes sense is Jesus. So
It's the only thing that ever makes sense. The way, the truth, and the life.
amen. So Josh, I've shared with you in the past that I was scared about some of the things that were happening in our country, and I think one thing that I've seen recently, because you haven't been watching much content on YouTube or anything like that. I saw a YouTuber, and I might say her last name wrong, but I apologize if I do get it wrong. It's Bailey Serena, but she's actually someone I've subscribed to. So from her picture, I didn't recognize her. She does a lot of like videos about like she started doing like makeup and like talking about murders. And so,
Okay.
well, it sounds like a combination for women, right? Like the women like the serial killers. So it sounds
Yeah.
perfect. I saw her talking about everything that's happening right now. And I'd like to show you that clip of her real quick. And just, I have a clip that starts off first, so it's two videos, and a guy that just found out about the Epstein report happening, and he's in an airport. Did you see that clip?
No, I haven't seen really anything.
Okay, I'm gonna show you.
Epstein files have been released. All of y'all are acting normal. Epstein files have been released, and all of y'all are acting normal. All of y'all are acting normal. They can laugh, but y'all can Google it.
Okay, here's where I'm at right now. Let's get it out of the way. I look like shit. I've been crying. Okay, great. Everything is bad right now. Great. We're all on the same page, right? Okay, great. I look like shit. Everything's bad. Great. I've lost my mind. Great. Awesome. Okay. I'm looking at my notes right now because I have so much to fucking say. I have so much to say. Fuck. And I have everything to lose. You know, just, okay, whatever. So it's like, whatever. The Epstein files, the current media, the noise, anti-Semitism, Trump, rapes, everywhere you look, censorship. Whose side are you on? What are we mad about? We have to put all of that aside for a minute. Just right now, we have to put all of that aside right now. Period. Because the Epstein files, all of this has revealed something. It's made it very clear. No, they've made it very clear. The top 1% and the leaders, they don't give a fuck about us, and this is one big board game. Me and you, the normal people, everyday group, just trying to survive, we are nothing but pawns to them. Period. I sound like an absolute fucking lunatic. Like, who gives a shit? I know. Trust me, I know. Rip me to shreds. I know. Listen. But put that aside. Because here's the truth. This current system in place has dehumanized us. It's detached us. We are removed from one another. We hate each other. We're angry. We're really angry. And I'm talking about just us normal, everyday people. We're angry. We're really hurt. And we're just like also fighting one another. And listen, this current system in place like wants us to do just that. They want us to do this. They're winning. Do you understand? They're winning.
Well, first off, I want to say good job to her for speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Like she said, you could see it in the beginning. I have everything to lose, but I don't care. Like, we need a lot more of that everywhere.
She has like 8 million people subscribed to her channel. Maybe it was 7 point something, but that's a lot. And
Yeah.
that video got 2 million views.
Well, good. I'm glad she spoke up. Like I'm saying, more and more people need to. But what I took from that is I feel so sorry for so many people that they don't know God, that they don't know Jesus, because it is the only way to wrap your head around any of this, is understanding the evil in this world that is against us. And so when she's saying we're pawns, they don't give a blank about us, she is absolutely right, because there is evil controlling what is happening. And I used to see that evil and not understand what you could do against it. But once God called me to him and I began learning and began understanding all of it, it all began to make sense. And now I am able to wrap my head around it, and I'm able to find peace through God, knowing that all we can do is spread light. Light shines on darkness, and that's all we can do in times like this.
I think I agree with you. The first video is the guy kind of like just for the reaction you had to our last video, where you're like, we were just talking about aliens and this stuff, and like no one cares. That you're obviously seeing that guy's reaction at the airport, where he's like, they just shared that they're doing all these things, and her reaction is
doing anything.
and her reaction. I agree with you 100%. I see so much of the way she is expressing how she feels. I felt that way too.
Mm-hmm.
For a few years, where you're seeing everything fall apart, that the perceived reality of what we lived around and what we lived in growing up in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, everything seems to have shifted.
Well, I think with the invention of the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of this massive amount of content that's available, is they learned how to use these things to their benefit. They have data on everything. And so we grew up in the 80s and 90s. There were awful things happening.
Right.
This stuff was already happening. This this evil cabal has gone on for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
We just had no clue. We lived just simple. We lived in our day-to-day lives. We didn't absorb all of this. We didn't see it all. We didn't have to take it in and make sense of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I've gotten back to personally, is keeping it simple. If I stay away from all of it, I can keep my eyes focused on God, and that's what he tells us to do.
Yeah. What would you say to the people who are just finding out? Because like it depends on what echo chamber you're living in and which streaming services you're getting into, and what, you can live in an echo chamber where you're not hearing this stuff. What would you say to the people who are just finding out now about the Epstein files and how dark it can get with that when you go down that path?
To be very, very careful, because you're taking in, the more and more you read about the Epstein files, the more that you watch on it, the more that you see it. That's darkness you're accepting into your life. You're allowing it into your life. And that darkness is going to fill every piece of you. And the only way to remove it is by shining light on it. And again, I'll say this over and over again. God, Jesus Christ, is that light. And so without him in your life, if you are absorbing all of this darkness, it's going to lead you down paths that you don't want to go down. that you shouldn't go down, because your life is going to go in a direction that you don't intend it to by constantly taking in darkness.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that when you're paying attention to content online, it's been exposed that some of these influencers get paid to give opinions, and sometimes they're also not allowed to give their opinions because they're paid. And so you got to kind of watch who you're listening to and who you're talking to, or being influenced by. If it's
Almost
not
like
coming
they
from
told
God.
us by naming them influencers that they're just paid for advertisers and we shouldn't follow our lives after them. Imagine that.
Yeah, I don't know where the name influencers came from, but it's very fitting.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the thing that I like. I think for me that is peculiar is my daughter she hangs out with people who I would say probably lean more left leaning as kids, and she came home and asked me questions about everything, and I'm trying to give her my honest opinion and not be biased. Just tell her what I'm seeing, and she's like, I really appreciate that you give me your opinion, Dad. Because sometimes I'll tell her like, she'll say Trump did this, Trump did that, because it's always about Trump. And I said, no. I mean, if he did something wrong, I'll say, yeah, it wasn't his best move. It wasn't. This isn't a good thing. But she's just always like, thanks, Dad, for sharing that with me. And I said, you talk to your friends about this stuff? She goes, I can't say anything, even if I don't agree with them. I just kind of go with the flow. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at as a society. Is like, you don't want to go against the norm to keep your circle intact.
So the other day I didn't read. I was bored or whatever, and I clicked on one of those BuzzFeed articles, and it was like 18 things women said would make them never date a man or leave a date or whatever the thing was, right? And 4 of the 18 had to do with Trump or politics. So almost 25% are now that obsessed because they've created this divide and they've pushed it so hard that it's taking over people's minds.
Yeah.
Over politics. Yeah.
I think it's meant to be that way. I think we covered it in the last episode too. Like the divides just even about abortion alone. It's like I've talked to women who vote that way, and I'm like, are you for abortion? And they say no. And I'll say, but you vote that way, that means you're supporting it, or hypothetically, right? And they'll just be like, yeah, but I just don't want to take away another woman's rights to be able to do it. And I'm like, if that's the hill you're going to die on, then I don't think it's going to look too good on you in the afterlife. So,
yeah, to me, it's the powers that be that really control all of this. The more division they can create, and you notice how it's like pretty even, right around 50%, right? That's so that they can sway it back and forth.
Yeah.
If you have that much control over each side that you're not going to lose people because they're afraid of losing every one of their friends, they're afraid of never getting a date again, they're afraid of this or that. If you have that much control over them, it is so easy to move things back and forth, because then when you're the ones who are truly in power, you can make sure your money moves over here. Now the votes go over here. Now your money moves over here. Now the votes go over here. You have an unlimited wealth when you're able to shift the public opinion back and forth on who's in power.
You've said it from the beginning, since we started talking about all this stuff years ago. Follow the money.
Always.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
No.
Okay. So Josh, we're talking about all these things happening, and I wanted to get into psyops. We've already covered this once as like things that we know it was a psyop from the Y Files. There is a website YouTube channel called Ironclad, and it's run by a bunch of former military guys who give their expertise. And I know I do Sean Ryan quite a bit on this. He's the host of the episode, so it's not the Sean Ryan show. But he is the host of this episode, and they dive into what a psyop is, and they get into that. I'd like to show you that video and then get your thoughts on it.
we're not all that different. Like we had talked about the Nazi from World War II that they tried, and then the reporter, whoever that was, said, you know, that the alarming thing or the scary thing is this guy isn't that much different than the rest of us. It's just 1 degree off. And so, you know, for me, what I hope people take out of this is that you're all fed a very particular narrative to tribalize the US. And they've done a very good job of that, whether it's social media, news stations, mainstream, whatever that is. And so I think that people that watch this, that pay attention, will start to realize that they're being fed tidbits of different information to trigger emotions and to hate another side of this country who may not think identical to you.
Exposing how foreign governments use psyops to manipulate the American people. By looking at the mind control strategies that cults use to isolate, overwhelm, and manipulate people, you can start to see the same techniques being deployed in foreign psyops.
Now, my hypothesis, which I think is fairly well proven out, is that we're all doing this to ourselves on social media all the time. It has all the same tools to put us in a suspended spell of mind control. And it's like, what do we want to be outraged about this week? Do we want it to be Ukraine? Do you want it to be Russia? Do you want it to be Jews? Do you want it to be Arabs? The border, abortion? There's this incredibly powerful focus that can manipulate us and shove all of our attention and start to manipulate it. And that's being fed now by algorithms that are more powerful than anything we can comprehend.
What did I tell you? The unseen power.
I mean, they are reading and gauging our reaction when we're online. It's watching the dilation of our pupils, our facial expressions. It's reading everything for interest. And that interest can be turned in ways that are maximized either for ill by our enemies, hostile regimes who want to destroy us, or for profit by psychopathic algorithms that are maximally rewarding outrage and terror and fear, or, you know, hedonistic pursuits. All of that can be just fed into you constantly, and we're on our own loop. A lot of this has aspects of self-meditation, self-mind control. And so if you watch people subconsciously, if you're at a restaurant, you watch anybody leaves a table and goes to the bathroom, the person picks up their phone. We've been taught to fill every spare moment that we have with looking at a screen that is algorithmically reading us and determining what it should feed us. And what it's feeding us are not things that are good for the unity and health of America.
That's 100% what I've been trying to tell people for so long now. It is not good for us. We are filling our minds with nonstop garbage, and it's become such a cycle that people are numb. And that's, I think, why they're seeking out things to be angry about, to feel, because they're numb and they're not coming up with their own original thoughts anymore because their mind is so filled with thoughts that aren't their own.
Yeah, my wife's a teacher, and she's sharing the effects it's having on young minds too. This dopamine hit with the cycling of like videos, and then they do shorter content, like they watch shorts a lot. So it's just dopamine, and it's like she says they're having a very hard time concentrating on anything that's a deeper thinking like problem at school. You know, if you have to read something, not something very lengthy, but just a page long, and retract information from it and then give an answer about it, they're struggling to do something like that. Like they can't keep their attention for that long to read a page worth of content.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing it with the younger people. And I'm not calling out just younger kids. I think we're seeing it being affected to older people too.
Oh, it 100% is affecting older people just as much as young people.
Right.
I think you've got like a bell curve, almost like an opposite bell curve. Like little kids are affected the most down into like middle age, and then the older people are affected even more. But it makes me almost as angry as the Epstein stuff when I start really thinking about it, as horrible and disgusting and whatever that all of that is. This is almost as bad because they know what they are doing to everyone. yet they keep advancing it and feeding it more and more to control people's minds, to make them miserable, and to make them docile.
Yeah.
And
This
dumb.
this
And
the
dumb.
clip Yeah, the clip that I showed the clip that I showed you, I said is from Ironclad. I don't know how many parts, it might be 6 or 8 episodes long, and they're releasing it, every week. But it's really well made, and like I said, Sean Ryan's the narrator, but it starts just breaking down, and I don't remember if it was Obama or Bush or which president it was, but they literally came out and said they're going to be running psyops on the American people.
It was Obama.
Okay.
That's when they passed a law allowing it. And that's what I was going to say, actually, because Sean Ryan was very much playing the card there to keep himself out of trouble. But I think he said it twice, of foreign governments doing these things to us. Yeah, right. Everyone is doing it to us.
Right. And like that's the thing that you don't take into consideration is even the foreign parts coming into America and doing it, yet alone our own government doing it to us.
And people you have no way of discerning which is which. Is this something that the Chinese are doing to us? Is this something the Russians are doing to us? Is this our own government doing this to us? It's overwhelming.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we had anything like specifically like, can you call out a psyop that you know is a psyop? I think the covering up of the Epstein files is a psyop. Like I just mentioned about the keywords through the tech industry canceling out keywords, and the LGBTQ agenda was like, I believe it was all part of this psyop to have us all be neutral by the time these Epstein files came out, because we're not, some people are shocked for the first time, but people like me and you, I think we're beyond outrage. We've moved on past that. We're almost like leveled up to a point where we're not letting it affect us anymore because we chose to trust God.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I don't let it affect me because I know who ultimately wins.
Right.
And I know where I can find my peace. I know where I can find my comfort and my truth. And so I don't worry about any of it. I'm appalled by it, of course, but it doesn't surprise me because I know of the evil in the world. And again, I'll say it again and again and again and again, but the only way to actually triumph is by shining the light. And that's what every Christian in the world needs to do, is stay away from this stuff and go out and shine the light and spread the word so that more people can know it and can find that peace and comfort through it as well, and grow the body of Christ. The larger the body of Christ, the more light there is in the world.
And it's a spiritual war, because the minute you start bringing Christ's name into any of these things that aren't directly related to it, but you start to say you trust in God, there's certain people in this world who get so mad that you're bringing Jesus into a conversation like that. And I think it's just a sign that we are in a spiritual war.
Yeah. And you always encounter the whole, well, if God's so good, if Jesus is so good, why do they allow this stuff to happen? And it's like, how long do you have to listen? We have to go all the way back to the beginning and explain it all to you from Genesis. And I'm willing to do it to anybody, but people need to go and seek for themselves as well.
Yeah. There's just, you got to hope there's a backlash to all this where people are going to start to get off their phones and start talking to each other again, and start meeting in places and turning off screens and saying, hey, we need to talk. We need to get along. I think that's what church does for people that don't go to church. Like, it's a place where you get together and you're not really on your phone, and you're listening to each other's thoughts, and you're all unified. It's like one of the times I go to a place where it seems like everybody's on the same page nowadays.
Yeah, that's why it's so refreshing to go to church.
Agreed.
You feel goodness. You can feel the goodness in there, and you can just sense that, yeah, like you said, everyone's on the same page. Everyone is seeing it clearly. And obviously not everyone. There's a lot of people who are at church who are just, coming because they got forced to or whatever, but it's still the goodness as a whole inside of it.
Well, I think it's interesting that, did you have anything to add to that last part?
No.
Okay. I think it's interesting that how this all got started, and I don't know if you remember it the same way I do. My recollection of this all with you was, and I've shared this on the podcast before, you and I were sitting down and you were grilling on your grill, and I started asking you about the Epstein files, and you're like, oh yeah, I know about that. And I'm like, I'm outraged. I'm like, I cannot believe this guy was like, I could not believe our American judicial system would let this happen. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. And you're like, you want to see some craziness? Check out this documentary called Follow the Cabal. That's what we're getting into next. We just did the telepathy tapes at a kind of a distance that we talked about it. You checked it out a little bit. One of the first things I showed you was the person who made them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that going forward, when we're bringing content to other people, I've started to try and do that a little bit more. Find out who I'm getting content from, and if it's good content for like a strong Christian perspective, I want to hear that that's their perspective as well. So I did a little deep dive and made a video for us about the background of who the creator of the Fall of the Cabal was. When you're ready, I want to show the audience this clip. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I ended my 10-part documentary about the fall of the Cabal with a promise. A promise to dive deeper into the story behind the darkness in this world we live in. What happened? How did we get to this point? Who is the Cabal? And what is their exact agenda? Are you ready to go further down the rabbit hole? Well, fasten your seatbelts, for this is going to be one heck of a ride.
Janet Ossebaard was a Dutch author, filmmaker, and researcher born in 1966 in Deventer, Netherlands. She studied at Groningen University and founded a training and consulting company called Ossebaard & Jansen at age 24, which she sold after a decade to pursue full-time research into crop circles. Ossebaard became known in esoteric circles as a Syriologist, a crop circle expert, serving as a board member of the Dutch Center for Crop Circle Studies, authoring several books on the topic, such as Crop Circles, The Evidence, and Crop Circles, The Most Enchanting Ever, organizing tours in England and operating a small museum in Deventer. She co-produced 4 documentaries on crop circles, one of which received an EBE award at the Laughlin, Nevada Film Festival. Later in her career, around 2019, she shifted focus to conspiracy theories, collaborating with Cynthia Cater on projects that delved into global cabals, elite control, and related narratives. Ossebaard died by suicide in November 2023 at age 57, with her body discovered in Lund, Sweden, after she had been reported missing. She had openly discussed personal childhood traumas in her blogs leading up to her death. The Fall of the Cabal is a multi-part documentary series created by Janet Ossebaard, often in collaboration with Cynthia Cater, released starting around 2020. The original series consists of 10 episodes running nearly 3 hours in total and promotes conspiracy theories aligned with QAnon, asserting that a secretive global elite, referred to as the Cabal or the 1%, controls world events through excessive wealth and power. It claims this group, including prominent politicians, Hollywood figures, and international bankers, engages in child abuse, satanic rituals, and the extraction of a blood-derived chemical, adrenochrome, for anti-aging purposes, while suppressing truths through media control. The series suggests that a coalition of government insiders, including then-President Donald Trump, was working to dismantle this cabal. A sequel series, the sequel to The Fall of the Cabal, expands on these themes across additional parts, up to 28 episodes in total across both, covering topics like central banking, one world government, and connections to current events. The content has been described as steeped in far-right, isolationist, and anti-Semitic tropes, drawing from influences like Eustace Mullins and Lyndon LaRouche. The series gained significant online traction, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, with millions of views on platforms like YouTube before facing removals for misinformation. It has been cited in cases of personal radicalization, such as in an NPR story about a woman's overnight shift in beliefs after binge watching, leading to relationship breakdowns. Critics and debunkers have produced counter content, including a 2020 YouTube documentary fact-checking its claims, arguing that they rely on biased sources, logical fallacies, and unverified assertions. Supporters, however, view it as an eye-opening expose on hidden power structures, with discussions on platforms like Facebook and Reddit praising its role in waking people up to alleged manipulations. Following Ossebaard's death, some online communities speculated about foul play, though official reports confirmed suicide. The videos remain available on alternative platforms and the official fallcabal.com site, where Cater continues related work.
All right, Josh, first question. What'd you think about the narration on that video? Was it any good?
That was probably the best narration I've ever heard.
I agree. That's a very good answer to say. This is my wife.
Oh, well, I didn't know that at all.
I thought she did a great job. That's one of the first videos
really
we've shown of making our own content. I was like, we've been talking about trying to make our own videos instead of using other people's stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was fun doing that with my wife. But one of my biggest takeaways is I had no clue the person or one of the co-people that made the Fall of the Cabal, she passed away.
The co-person who made it?
Yeah, there's two people that do it. We'll hear on the. I have another video to show you. Her name starts with I don't remember. We'll see it on the video.
Okay.
But I just was like, she's passed on. They said she committed suicide. Yeah. And I just thought that was very suspicious because the Fall of the Cabal, I'm going to share this on my screen as we talk. I was going to start doing a video about sharing with you all the things in the Fall of the Cabal, but I'm like, dude, there is way too much stuff to even get into. Like, you want to talk about conspiracy theories? Like, I got it all here. Now I'm just going to scroll down here, but this is all the things it goes through.
Okay, let's read through these really quick. Go up. Global elite cabal controlling world events, wealth and power concentration in the 1%, child sexual abuse and trafficking networks, satanic rituals and human sacrifices, adrenochrome harvesting from tortured children, media manipulation, fake news, QAnon as a truth-feeling movement, Donald Trump as a hero fighting the cabal, central banking conspiracies, one world government agendas, false flag operations, chemtrails, vaccines, organ harvesting, WikiLeaks, subliminal satanic messaging, reptilian symbols and Vatican architecture, Rothschild family, government influence, mass migrations, injury and alien invasion, increased crime and no-go zones for migration, GMOs, Hollywood and political, Pizzagate and code words, Epstein's Island, Clinton Foundation, Bumming Grove, elite art. Man, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if I couldn't get all this in one video with me and you if I wanted to. But if you think about it,
I mean, I haven't watched it in years now. Fall of the Cabal covered all of this?
It's Fall of the Cabal and Fall of the Cabal 2.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't remember it covering all of this stuff, but that is insane.
But to your point, though, bro, like, the thing is that you shared that with me, and that was got to be 2019 or 2020, before COVID, and just the Epstein files had me outraged. And the end of the first video, they talk about some of the Pizzagate stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking, like, I can't share this with anybody or I'm going to look like I'm crazy.
Yep. I was very, very careful of who I showed it to back then.
Right. And but the crazy thing is I think back to the video we watched, the second video of that girl crying. And she wasn't crying on tape, but you can just tell she's just like, she's normally done up like, she's a makeup artist, so her makeup is always on point.
I saw her little like photo, her thumbnail. You can tell,
she's usually done up. She's a very pretty girl, but just and I don't have an emotional attachment to her as a YouTuber, like where I've watched a bunch of her videos and I like, my heart. I just saw someone hurting.
Yeah.
And I just keep on thinking about these people who didn't watch a video like that. For us to be, I don't think we're numb. I just think it's like God was preparing us. That's what I think.
Well, I think God used it for me. It was part of the stepping stones that brought me back to him.
Agreed.
Hearing all of that, like I've said so many times on this podcast, it was the evil in the world that brought me back to God, because I could not wrap my head around everything going on, and I could see straight through it all.
Yeah.
I could see that there were so many psyops. I could see that stuff was set up. I could see, even before I watched Fall of the Cabal, I already had these thoughts on a lot of these things, and I watch it and it confirmed a lot of stuff. And just so I don't sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, when I watch stuff like that, I don't just fully believe it all.
Right.
But I open my eyes that the possibility of all of these things are happening. And when you open your eyes, then you actually start to see, okay, this part really is true. This part really is true. Because there's always going to be, you know, something wrong. Like Fall of the Cabal, for instance, the whole like JFK being alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even while I was watching it, I was like, I think she might have gone a little off the deep end with this part, you know? And so it's being careful to use discernment while you're watching stuff like that. But there's definitely nothing wrong with opening your eyes to the possibility of all of these things happening.
And I don't think it's fair to judge everybody who might be I'm not saying you're judging anybody, just for clarification. No. I don't think it's fair to judge the people who might be shocked by all this because honestly, before the Epstein stuff that we talked about in the Fall of the Cabal, I was working a ton during that time. And the only news I would get as I'm walking in my restaurant from the kitchen to the restroom or kitchen to walk out food to somebody or whatever I was doing in the dining room, I'd look up and sometimes, and most of the news back then it's all anti-Trump because we had it on CNN. So I just thought like for the first 4 years of Trump being in office, he's been the worst president I've ever seen. That was my viewpoint. Like I didn't have any other thing to go off of. I'm just like, I talk to people who are into politics and they're like, don't believe that crap. I'm like, I don't know, man. I see on the news every single day how terrible he is. And so for me, it was like this, like everything just opened up all at once. And like, you're like, how can the people be voting these people in? And the truth is, at least that's my viewpoint now, is like, I think it's all corrupt. The entire system is just broken.
Me too. On that sheet, the one thing it said, and like Trump is the one who's the only person standing up to the cabal. I don't even know if I believe that. I don't know if they're all in on it, because it all could be a massive psyop. I really don't know. I'm not putting my I don't know. I'm not putting my belief in any of it anymore. My belief is in God, and that is it. That's the only thing I know that I fully believe and that I know to be true.
Yeah, I've heard Trump talk about God quite a few times, and I heard him talk about Jesus once, but he's never come right out and said like Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, things like that. Or like even to the point, like it doesn't matter if he did or didn't. Like if you really believe in our country and our president, he still comes way farther down the line and people I'm going to give my time and my effort and my heart to. That he's really not that important. Yeah, I think some people have him a little bit higher than they should, and some people have him higher in God. Yeah, and that's the problem. It's a false idol.
Exactly, and that's one thing that always keeps me to shy away from him is he makes himself out to be a false idol. And that's not godly at all.
As we enter the year 2025, everything has changed. In just a few years' time, the world has become familiar with terms such as deep state, cabal, swamp, information warfare, and mis- and disinformation. People started to see that their governments were just puppets of something bigger, something beyond their comprehension, something dark and sinister. People started to doubt the good intentions of their governments as they saw how worldwide agendas, such as Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, were rolled out, annihilating the farmers of the world, replacing real food with fake food. They saw how all kinds of technologies were forced upon them, annihilating any sense of privacy. Money was taken away, replaced with digital currency and digital IDs. Because of all of this and more, people started to wake up and see what a dystopian future our leaders had planned for us. Millions and millions of people worldwide watched the series. In the end, it's these people who made the world ready to truly wake up, to claim its sovereignty and choose another path to the future. But that path is yet to be taken. Right now, we are in a transition period, a period in between timelines. we still need to understand the real core, the roots of the Cabal. Because only when we really go to the bottom of the rabbit hole will we understand the full picture. And with that knowledge, we can leave the old structures behind. We can then focus on a new world, a new system, more evolved, truly equal and transparent, with respect for individual rights and privacies.
Well, I have to say that your wife was definitely a better narrator than this narrator.
That's the other creator of the Fall Cabal.
I know.
Okay. I appreciate it though, and so does my wife.
Yes.
I did think it was interesting how they're saying we're at a road, a split in the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I take it as like the secular road or the non-secular road. And I do think we are at a spiritual crossroads. I think that this world is splitting in half.
Yeah. Sorry, that was interesting. It made me think about when Jesus returns to Earth and stands on the mountain and splits it in half. I don't know. I was trying to think about if there's a way to connect those two, and there's just not. So
we're leaving it in the video.
That's right.
No, I think of like everything has changed in my life so and in such a short amount of time. I think even just the COVID, for whatever it was, the experience all together, seeing people scared, seeing people not start to trust each other, seeing how the masks, we're not wearing a mask, whether you got the vaccine, if you didn't get the vaccine, it just feels like our world got turned upside down. And like we both shared already, like we found our way back to Christ through it. And I don't know if, God does everything for a reason. There's a reason this has all been able to happen. And so, I think if not for anything else, God just was like, I'm going to use this for my good.
He uses everything for his good eventually, right?
Amen.
Until the actual final days when he pours out his wrath. Up until then, he uses everything for his good. And that's kind of the crossroads to me. How you said secular versus non-secular, to me it's, are we at the end or are we not? Mm-hmm. And if we are not, then I believe that this path forward she's talking about has to happen, because God will not allow this world to continue on the way that it's going unless it is the end.
Yeah.
And so,
and if it is the end, it's going to get worse.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So, if this is not the end, then things will get better, because it's gone so far. God isn't going to continue to let his people suffer and suffer and suffer, right? And watch us all become mind-controlled nothings, robots walking around the earth. And so one of two things has to happen. To me, that's the crossroads that we're at right now.
Yeah. I had big plans for retirement and like living a life of like partying and like vacationing all the time. And like it just kind of got abruptly stopped like after COVID. And like I remember talking to my wife and she's like, I'm like, when things get back to normal, I kept on saying, when things get back to normal. And she one day just came to me, she's like, and I don't think she came up with this, but she was like, normal isn't coming back, honey. Jesus is. And I wasn't really walking with Jesus the way I am now. And I just looked at her like, oh, why do you gotta say something like that? Like, I'm like, we got all this money coming in. I'm doing all these things in life. Like, I don't want that to happen right now. And it's funny how just a little bit of time later, you're like, I can't wait for Jesus to come back. It's gonna be great.
Can't wait for it.
It's true though.
Oh, I know. I think looking at comments of videos and just the type of videos that are out there, there are tens, hundreds of millions of people that just cannot wait for that day to come. And that's what I mean by that crossroads. If this is not the end, God is going to work to make good of what is happening, because he will not leave everyone to just continue to suffer, because people are not happy in this world right now.
There was very minimal things you could find on YouTube about end times not that many years ago. Like I was looking up and down all over the place for just stuff I can learn or hear people talk about it. Because I started sensing it a while back, like that, it was after my wife probably made that comment and reading the Bible and being like, I think I was watching America fall so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that we used to be versus where we're at now. And I just like, how can this happen? How can we fall apart that quickly? And I just started seeing the Bible like we're not part of the end times talks.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, makes sense.
Yeah. And when you see exactly what that lady just said in her video, that 2030 global agenda, if all of these people in charge have been pushing towards this global agenda, then America has to be brought down a level because they can't bring everyone else up a level.
Right. The next thing I was going to talk about and show you a video about real quick was shocking about the fall of America and just the perception that everything is so terrible here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just crazy to have been around the world, seeing how some people live, and knowing that America is still a great place. Like you've looked at like moving to different places in the world, and I'm not saying other places aren't like equal to America or whatever. I'm not trying to say which one's better or worse. I'm just saying living situations. There's a lot of places in this world right now where you'd want to be in America over the places.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard because, when I have looked at moving out of the country, it's losing that familiarity. And that's a hard thing to get rid of. Like your comfort and your familiarity. Your comfort comes from your familiarity. And when you start looking, like when I looked at going to Portugal, right? And we took a month trip there, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, it's a nice place. It's beautiful. The weather was good. There's plenty of coastal areas and prices were good. Like everything was good. But at the end of the day, I was just like, this would just be such a hard transition. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I think, just the things that are different than what you're used to, I wouldn't be able to overcome it. It would make me unhappy. And so, but like you said, the United States is still an amazing place to live, but it's what people are allowing to happen through this brainwashing that's the bad part.
Yeah.
Right. Where everything is such consumerism. I need this. I have to have this. I have to have this. I got to buy this next thing. And everyone's minds are just so set on that because they're taking in the content that's advertising to them all of these things and telling them they need this in order to be cool or in order to be pretty or in order to, appear like they have status. And that's the part of America that has been destroyed.
Yeah. Agreed. You just got back from vacation, right?
I mean, it wasn't a vacation. We went to Mexico for a weekend.
Correct. Okay. Well, I'm getting to that point.
Yeah.
And I just texted you last night that the roads through Tijuana, I'm assuming that's how you got there?
Yeah. Thank goodness we were 1 week earlier.
The cartel was blowing up cars on the road to get through the border. And I text you 2 days ago saying, have you heard of what's happening in Mexico? And you're like, I had not. Have you seen any of the videos?
No, I haven't watched any videos. No, I just read that quick little thing yesterday to see what you were talking about.
I'm gonna show you a video of some of the stuff that's happening in Mexico right now.
This is the Guadalajara airport. Beauty Bird, an influencer who's known for her Get Ready With Me videos on both TikTok and Instagram, has posted this to her story of people terrified after the cartel leader El Mencho was killed. The cartel has become very vengeful and is attacking people all across Mexico, specifically in Jalisco.
Dude, the one thing that I didn't think about when I was watching the first time, she's videotaping herself the entire time.
Yeah.
In the airport. I'm assuming people are shooting things up and whatnot, which is terrible. But I just thinking about that now. She's like, gotta get this on tape. It's content.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just I feel for the people in Mexico right now, and our thoughts and prayers are going out to them. But like, just, some people are saying how bad it is to live here, and I don't know. I still have some pride in being an American. Not pride in a bad way. Just I think it's the only place where you move to, and then you'll say you're from where you used to be from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't go to England and say, "Where are you from?" And they say, "Oh, my parents are from this different country." They're English. Same thing. Anywhere you go, we're the only country where you're not who you are, unless you go out of country.
Yeah, until all the immigration stuff in the last 5 years, the takeovers in multiple countries. But first off, I actually feel bad. As I was watching that, I realized I have not prayed for the people of Mexico, so that is something I need to do as soon as this video ends. But it's crazy to think how much power the cartel has in a place like that. Like, what's gonna result from all of this? Is a full-fledged war gonna happen in Mexico? Is it time for that? I don't know. Is that what's gonna come in the news with the news cycle of the elections? Are we gonna have to get involved in a war against it down in Mexico? Like, this is pretty big. They're blowing stuff up everywhere throughout the country, right?
One of the politicians, I don't know how their government works, but one of their politicians there just went on like Fox News and said that the president of Mexico is in cahoots with the cartel. Like, literally, she's in lockstep with them. She's part of the problem. We need help. They're pleading to the United States, please help us.
So it wasn't the president that authorized the killing?
No, I don't know the entire story, to be honest. Like, I texted you yesterday and I was like, I think the US was involved in this somehow. And I think you jumped on your phone and said, nope, this is what happened. I'm like, you already know more than I do. So,
okay.
Like, as much as you're not paying attention to news too, like, I think I'm trying to do the same thing. I just think about that right now. And like, I feel for the people of Mexico, but I'm like sitting there going like, all these things we talk about, like, and like when you check out the way you said you're not watching the news sometimes, like, America is not a bad place. I do think that some of the things I have issue with is like some of our Christian roots are falling apart, where people used to use what Christians believe in as our guidelines for our country.
Yeah.
And people they're pushing away from that.
Yeah. But this is, we could go on and on. This is a major, major event because I feel like it can't just resolve itself at this point.
Yeah.
Something has to escalate. Like, something has to keep going, right? Can the Mexican government just say, "Oh, okay, it's over now"? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think everyone considers almost Mexico as a cartel-run country, not a government-run country.
Right. And it's an amazing country. The people are so awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love Mexico.
Right. I love the people too. They're so nice and so generous and hardworking. Like, I think a lot of people think Americans, if you vote Republican or whatever, we want to get rid of all the Mexicans in America. Like, it's the farthest thing from the truth. We live in the Southwest. We live in Mexico. I have family who's Mexican. Like, they're great people. Like, I would love for nothing more than to have the cartels gone and have them be liberated.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens with the amount of power that they have in that country, but it would have to result in a full-blown war, which is just wild to think about.
Have you been to India?
No, I've never been to India.
Okay, so the next video I was going to show you is a video clip of Tim Pool talking about a girl from America who went to, I believe it's a Post Malone concert.
Okay.
And her experience in India. Yeah. And there's some real, I'm giving you the most PG version of what you can see from this, because there are some horror stories of people who go to India and the way women are treated in India. It's equally as bad as the Middle East, but it's heartbreaking.
Okay.
So this video is going around of a woman who went to Guwahati, India to see Post Malone, and she was gang groped just incessantly and repeatedly by Indian men. They were grabbing her all over, and her boyfriend tried to protect her. And the moral of today's story is I have a plethora of stories for you about how, there are these people that think the world is safe. And it reminds me of this meme, this saying that a man builds a fence around his house to keep out the wolves. And the woman, his wife, eventually grows accustomed to the safety. One day, a wolf whispers to her, "Your husband built this fence to lock you up and keep you in prison. You should be free and tear it down." And she goes, "Yes." And she tears the fence down and is immediately murdered and massacred and consumed by the wolf. Now, in all seriousness, that's offensive to wolves because they are scavengers and pack hunters. They largely stay away from humans. Don't cross a wolf, but for real. They are typically skittish of humans, and they have their own territory. The point is, however, over the past, 10, 20 years, I've seen story after story after story of these women being like, "I want to travel the world," and, everybody is friends, and then they get raped or beheaded. Like, these stories are insane. Let me play this video for you. It's actually not that long. And then I will take you into the dark world. And I got to be honest, I didn't do a lot of research on this. What I mean is I didn't need to. You literally just type in tourist attacked, and you will find all of these European, Western, Australian, or whatever, white liberal women just being mercilessly beaten, raped, kidnapped, or otherwise. Yet, you know what it is? We are so safe, somewhat, in the Western Hemisphere, in the West, that we don't think of these things. Maybe it's not fair to say because, South America is pretty dangerous. But I have a story where it has begun to happen in the UK and Paris, and you all know it. Let me play this clip for you. Here you go.
Keep your hands to your fucking self. It's disgusting.
I love the end where he's like, "I'm going to hug you." The world's a dangerous place. It's a very, very, very dangerous place. Michael Malice likes to talk about, even conservatives don't understand how bad it can get. And these, I don't even want to call her a liberal woman, right? But it's like default liberal in that they tend to just be like, whatever, everything's fine, right? And that is default liberal. It doesn't mean actually politically or philosophically liberal. But the reality is this: out of sight, out of mind. We have created a country, the United States, that is so safe, and in the West, that women don't understand, and largely guys, too, don't get me wrong. But guys still deal with a lot of violence. It's why you have that trope. And I'm not saying every woman all the time. Calm down, ladies. But you have the trope where the guy in the bar is like, "I don't want any trouble." And the woman's like, "My boyfriend can kick your ass." Because they're removed from the danger itself. Men are more likely to be victims of violent crime. Thus, they are simultaneously more likely to be the instigators of and the ones trying to avoid it. It's weird. But it's what we refer to as greater male variability hypothesis. In the bell curve, women are in the middle and men are on the extreme ends. And that's just the way it is. So I've seen stories, you've seen stories, and it doesn't stop here. I give you the horrifying reality that many people in this country and others have long since forgotten.
So with that video right before it, you played it, you were telling me about a woman on a bus being violated by 8 men,
murdered.
Is that a different story, or did that happen to this girl?
It's in the same episode. I didn't want to play it on here. It was too graphic.
But it's a different girl. It's not that didn't happen to this girl.
This is the PG version of what he shared later on. He shared about a girl who got on a bus with a male, and these bus driver and 7 other guys from India took them off the beaten path, and they killed the guy who tried to defend the girl, and they sodomized her and used inanimate objects inside of her, and they basically, her insides came out, and like just like I don't want to. I'm not specifically talking about women not appreciating this country. I think we have a problem here where people don't appreciate where we live and how safe we really are on a day basis. Like I went on vacation not long ago, and we went like swimming at night, and we're in a different country, and we got locked out of our room, and so we like my wife's in a bikini, I'm in a swimsuit, and we had gone to our room and come back out, and then like the door got closed, and so I'm like, all right, well let's call the front office, and they did. We called them and said, yeah, well we'll send someone right there on our cell phone, and so we're waiting there, and I'm like, it's taking a long time, and you know, of course we're getting impatient because we're sitting there waiting, and next thing you know, my wife's like, hey, I'm gonna go to the front office and talk to someone at the front desk. She's wearing a bikini.
Okay.
And it's late at night. And I'm like, no, let's just stay here. She's like, well, you stay here in case they come, and then I'll go talk to them. And I'm like, dude, no. Like, you're in a bikini. You want to walk around a resort right now just by yourself? I'm like, are you not thinking? And she just, her brain kind of like exploded in front of me. She goes, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, no, hon. Like, you're not going to the front office by yourself in a bikini. But I think that's the kind of life she's lived here. Like, she feels very safe. She thinks nothing's going to ever happen. But, like, we've been to other countries. We've seen how crazy things happen.
Yeah. And so the question then pops into my head, like, I always have multiple times in this episode already, but the light, Jesus Christ, where he is not, the darkness prevails. And that's where we see that shift in America. The less Christian there is, the more darkness that comes in. And so it's something to truly think about when you're traveling away through a lot of these other false religions and, you know, different practices of all these weird gods. Those gods are not the real God. And a lot of people are inviting evil spirits into themselves when they're practicing worship of a blue elephant with whatever, and you know, like however different gods that these religions have, they're not the one true God who is love.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hard part about being Christian is you want to steer everyone in the right direction and not come off as being better than thou, because that's not like the way. That's not the Christian
not
way.
What it's about at all.
But when you start seeing all these people being misled, and it's not just like it's people who don't believe in God at all, atheists. Like it's not, and it's not every person who's an atheist or believes in different religions is bad. But you just see how. I mean, I don't hear Christians doing this stuff. Not to say that every Christian's perfect, but it's just it's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't want to act holier than thou or act that way or say that at all, but it's a it's a spiritual battle. Yeah. There is a spiritual battle going on around us, and if people are accepting the wrong spirits inside of them, that's where their evil actions can come from.
Yeah. That's ironic though, because like the last video I have for us is a video that I found on X where this teenager that lives in Canada. Mm-hmm. I don't know the whole background of the story. It's in the video. I think he killed 7 people, but it was a person transitioning, and they said that he or she, I don't know from the video what it is, but they were already like kind of red flagged for having a lot of mental illness, but they were saying that they were transitioning and to leave them alone, and they ended up killing 7 people at the school. I have a video to show you real quick, and then it goes into a different video that I'll let the video speak for itself, and then I think we'll have a lot to unpackage in the last video of this series.
Okay. How long does it go?
It goes on for a while. Ugh. So I just think that like I have one last video that's coming up, but like just I don't know. I want to just see your reaction to that because I just feel like it's like what is going on in this world where someone's gonna even just record themselves after I say we killed 10 people.
That was after they killed him?
Yes. They said like a videotape of themselves and started recording themselves. That it kept on going on. It kept going on for a while.
Dude, that was
I should cut it a little bit shorter,
Holy
but
Spirit inside of me.
Yeah.
Literally, like I was feeling it, like, and all I was thinking in my head is, "In Jesus' name, I rebuke you. In Jesus' name, I rebuke you."
But I don't want to get too heavy in the trans thing, but like I just think that I don't know. It's such a tough topic to bring up because obviously people are hurting and people are going through a lot, but it just seems like in Canada they're not giving people help for like they're telling people leave people alone like that. Like leave them alone, they're fine. Like they let them be who they are. But it's just crazy.
Spiritual. But
yeah,
yeah,
I don't
play
always...
the next video because I don't want to say everything that I want to say on the video.
Okay, so a moment ago we were talking about drugs. Do you think that the use of drugs is directly related to demons? Or do you think using drugs opens portals to demons entering you? Or what are your thoughts on that? On drugs in general?
You are kidding. You are kidding.
No.
You know my answer.
No, I don't.
Yes, of course.
If I knew it, I wouldn't ask you.
I understand. Of course. It's one of the main factors that I deal with in getting rid of demons. And
how do you distinguish between the drugs is a very broad term. There's all kinds of drugs. There's drugs that can help lower your cholesterol. There's drugs that can help you enter another dimension. How do you distinguish which drugs are related to the devil?
Let's just talk about street drugs. Or weed, which used to be a street drug.
Okay, but weed is a plant. It's grown out of the ground.
I cast more demons out of people from smoking weed than anything else. You want to know why?
What makes weed so demonic?
Google Shiva and marijuana.
Okay, let's look it up, Steve. Shiva and marijuana.
Mm-hmm. So there's three main gods in Hinduism.
Correct.
All right. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva.
Lord Shiva is associated with marijuana.
Destroyer.
Is associated with marijuana because he consumed bang to alleviate the pain after drinking the poison hala hala during the churning of the ocean. He was using it to alleviate seasickness.
But there is a multi-millennial tradition in the East, and particularly in India.
Okay, here it says in Hindu festivals such as the Shiva Ratri, devotees consume marijuana as a form of praising to Shiva, or as a form of praise to Shiva, symbolizing their love and devotion. So where is the evil stuff here?
Shiva.
Shiva's evil?
Is the Lord of death and destruction.
Oh, really?
That's what he's known as.
Oh.
Now, of course, philosophical Hinduism has ways to try to
so it's like the Hindu devil
to get around that, but he is the Lord of death and destruction.
Okay.
Okay.
So Shiva, Steve, can you find out like Shiva's what does the Google call Shiva? I'm assuming it's the Hindu devil.
Well, no, Shiva is a Hindu god, but you will see pictures if you look far enough of Shiva smoking ganja or marijuana or cannabis.
Okay.
He's the god of destruction. See it?
Where does it say that? Oh, Shiva is known as the destroyer within the Trimurti, the Hindu Trinity.
Do you remember what Oppenheimer said when the first atomic bomb went off?
Destroyer of worlds, I
am become Shiva. Now
that was a Shiva quote.
The film changed it a little bit. They didn't tell you the truth.
That was from the Bhagavad Gita, right?
Yeah. But his exact words are, I am become Shiva, destroyer of worlds.
That's what he actually said?
That is what he actually said.
Who changed it?
Huh?
Who changed it to I am become death?
Oh, they political correctness.
Really? Fine. We gotta find this.
But you could find it.
I didn't know this.
Okay.
Scroll up, Steve. It's telling you in the AI. Oppenheimer did not actually say, I am become Shiva, destroyer of words. The quote is known for I am become death, destroyer of worlds. The phrase comes from the Bhagavad Gita, the sacred Hindu text. Oppenheimer recalled thinking of this verse during the Trinity nuclear tests, the first detonation of a nuclear weapon.
But the point is, I'm become death. I am become Shiva. Shiva is the Lord of death. Same thing.
Right, but he didn't write I am become Shiva. He wrote I am become
Well,
death.
some say that he did, and I don't know what text you're pulling from there, but there's a bit of a dispute
This is
over
AI,
that.
I think. This is the Google AI.
Okay, but my point is, when someone comes to me and tells me that for a long period of time they've been smoking weed, I'm going to say over 50% of the time I can call forth the demon Shiva.
But what about all the...
I'm just telling you.
What about all like the people that come back from war with PTSD and all these mental illnesses and these hypervigilance, these issues that they're having, and they're literally prescribed weed and it alleviates weed, CBD, all these things that alleviate their stress.
Wait a minute.
They bring them back to normal.
Wait a minute.
And save their lives.
Wait a minute. You're talking about the difference between somebody who's under medical care, medical supervision, who's being administered a drug.
Sure.
Could be any kind of drug.
It's a drug that comes out of the earth.
Exactly.
God-given plant.
Well, no, wait a minute. If it's used properly by the proper people for the proper purposes. Okay? So if you've got a doctor...
Does it say that in the Bible?
If you've got a doctor who is administering any kind of drug, which has psychotropic qualities, and that doctor is administering certain dosages under his supervision,
right,
that is very different than a 15-year-old kid buying stuff off the streets that's been laced with God knows what. And that's what I deal with. Okay? That's a very different scenario.
Okay, but there's a difference here. You're talking about a 15-year-old kid buying something off the streets who is most likely is involved with crime, bad parenting. There's a lot of shit going on here.
Exactly.
You can't cherry pick the marijuana out of there and say the marijuana is demonic because there's all kinds of other influences going on here.
I ask the demon under penalty of judgment by the Holy Spirit to tell me, how did you get there? And he laughs and he says, weed.
He says weed?
Yeah.
Then why did God put weed everywhere?
Wait a minute. But by that he means the illicit use of it. So,
okay,
heroin as a narcotic,
poppy,
used in a proper derivative form, as an analgesic, as some form of medication. What is morphine?
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay. But if it's under a doctor's care and supervision, and the quantification of it, and the regularity of it.
What if that person doesn't have the access to a doctor?
They want to play Russian roulette with their mind? That's a very dangerous thing to do. Okay?
Is that the devil, if you don't have a doctor prescribing it?
It could just be them. Could be a lot of things. I'm just telling you. I'm an exorcist. This is what I deal with. This is the ugly truth about what's going on. And this is where the devil works in the lives of a lot of young people today. And I see it every day.
Are you shocked at all?
Am I shocked?
Yeah.
No, I was shocked by the video of that demon-possessed murderer.
Yeah.
That was so disturbing. Like, I felt the Holy Spirit just like stirring in me. Literally all that could be was going through my head watching that was, in Jesus' name, I rebuke you.
Yeah.
That was beyond disturbing. And to look at that and not know that that person has a demon possession, I don't know how people can't see the reality of it. It reminds me exactly of like Jesus' story, where the demon wouldn't leave, and the disciples asked him to cast out the demon, and he was like, "How long do I have to deal with you, you unbelieving generation?" And he cast it out. And then they asked him later why they couldn't do it, and he said that specific demon only comes out through prayer and fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads into the Catholic priest there who's an exorcist, right? I think there's, you know, when you saw someone getting delivered, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a difference between evil spirits, and I think there's a difference between a demon.
Yeah.
And that was the difference. And that person had a demon. That person didn't have evil spirits. That person has a demon inside of them.
Right. Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway, and I'm trying to link these two together, is I heard a statistic that the alcohol market is down like $860 billion last year. Like, that's how much money they're losing. And I guarantee you, whatever they're losing in alcohol sales, they're gaining it in cannabis sales in America. Everybody's switching over to using cannabis, and they're I think that we're being misled to believe it's a healthier alternative to alcohol.
Absolutely. Which I think alcohol can lead to evil spirits and demonic possession as well. I think any drug. And so that the part I don't think the exorcist, the priest, did a good job of explaining, and maybe he doesn't know this because he hasn't been in that world, is I don't think smoking pot is going to give someone demons, personally. And this might make a Christian who's listening to this angry. I don't think it is, but I think it opens your mind to allowing things to come into you. And
Now,
so
this is,
yeah, go ahead.
This is where I would object your answer. I think if we're talking about plant grown that you process yourself and smoked it, I think that's one thing. But the stuff that they're making today, it's completely different. It has been modified. It's been genetically modified. It's been treated to be as most potent it can possibly be. Like, you used to get marijuana that if you smoked it, it would have like 14% THC, the stuff that we grew up around you. It's now 100% THC. And I think that's I'm not trying to tell you were wrong. Like, that's not my approach. Yeah. That's not my approach I'm coming at, but I was going through it. I was talking about I was working a ton, and I was tired of like alcohol kind of being my aid. And I went to go see a doctor, and he's like, I'll prescribe you weed because it'll help me sleep. It'll help me do these other things. And I got used to using it so much, but it was definitely like one of those things where I had to have God, like, I'm like praying to God. I'm like, dude, this stuff, I don't like it, because it was so overwhelming.
Which I think you're just talking about a higher level. I think, like you said, the stuff you could grow in your own backyard, organically grown, whatever, I think it still opens up the possibility. It opens you up to other things because your mind is altered. And when your mind is in altered state, you can be tricked into accepting things in your life. For instance, if I just went to a bar right now or a nightclub, say I went out Friday night, right? And I'm at a nightclub and I'm completely sober. The chances of me participating in darkness and inviting spirits into my life is very minimal. I'm still around it. There's still the chance that I could be seduced and make a bad decision, but it's very minimal. But now if I get completely wasted, drunk, I can have that possibility. It's easier for me to be influenced by darkness. And I feel the same thing with weed. And then you go into deeper and stronger drugs. Like, for instance, I have a friend who did DMT, and they went into a completely different dimension from the way they explained it. But, and this actually brought them back to God. His story was he was being chased by demons.
Yeah.
And from what he told me, Jesus appeared to him in this dimension and fought off demons protecting him.
Yeah.
And then when he finally came back to it, like, his life was changed.
Yeah.
Now, do I know that that truly happened? Or was it in his mind? I don't know.
Right.
But the one thing I do know is if it did happen, there's a chance Jesus doesn't show up for someone in that moment because they're not a believer. And now they've got demons after them. And that's just a whole different level of drug, I feel like. But taking it down to, something like weed, I think the potential is there to allow demons in. And the stronger, the higher THC level, the probably the higher chance there because you're more altered.
I feel like after we've reviewed everything that we've talked about today, starting off with just the news of the world we're living in today can be enough to drive somebody to indulge in either one of these things or any of the things that we just described, any of those drugs, the alcohol. And I just think that that's becoming a more casual thing that people, if you are more susceptible to things that this exorcist is saying, I wanted to let the world, or at least the people listening to our show know. I don't know how to explain to people besides when I gave up, like when I started following Jesus more closely, alcohol was a huge issue for me, and I asked him to remove it from me in my life. I didn't ask him about weed. I was taking like stuff to go to sleep with it, and he removed alcohol right away. And then I kept on having issues, and I just was like, God, if you don't want this in my life either, God, take it away. And I haven't touched it since. So like both things, I asked him to remove it, and he removed it from my life. Was it easy? Was it fun? No. Like those things are addictive. And they're hard to get off of, but I can tell you my sober mind is much closer to God than it is if you're altering your mind in any kind of way. And so like I feel for the people in this world today who are going through all these things, seeing these things and experiencing, especially people just figuring things out. Like if you just heard about the Jeffrey Epstein files, I'm like, of course you're going to go alter your mind a little bit to get away from this reality of what like the world we live in is like. That's what's happening today. This is what our government elites are doing, and people we're supposed to entrust in taking care of our government. Like,
I would encourage people, because I am with you. I feel for everyone out there, especially people who don't have God, or even believers who aren't walking with God, that altering your mind is not the solution. Renewing your mind is.
Yeah.
And through Jesus, your mind can be renewed. And that's giving him all of you, all of your problems, all of your pain, all of your sin, giving it to him, repenting and allowing your mind to be renewed, because he will bring you peace and he will bring you love and he will make you whole. And that's where I think people are struggling right now, is they don't feel whole. They feel like there is a HOLE hole inside of them. And that can only be filled by God. You'll be chasing something to fill it for the rest of your life. And as soon as you accept Jesus into your heart, you become whole and your mind is renewed.
Yeah, it's I think a few of our episodes we've talked about this, where our sermon that we go to church to kind of like goes along with whatever we're talking about this week, and is no different for me this week. My pastor, we were talking about when Joshua is walking to Jericho, and he's encountered by the angel of the Lord, which is Jesus, and he has his army stop, and he walks up to him, and he's like, hey, are you on our side or on their side? And he says, neither. And my pastor gave his interpretation of it is that God doesn't pick a side. God is a side. So like we are put in the position to pick. He's a side. You don't ask him to pick between other things. And I think that was like a real eye-opening point for all these things that we just talk about, how this world is just divided. And if you're not on God's side, you're against it. And it doesn't mean I'm against you. It just means you've got to pick the side that I'm on, because there's no alternative for it. I can't go be on both teams.
Yeah.
And so these things like,
oh, go ahead.
but
Finish.
I just think it's like, for me, everything that we've talked about, the fall of the Cabal, all these things, it just realized like I had to be on God's side. I couldn't pick that side anymore for anything.
Absolutely. It's the only side. And your pastor, I think that's a great point to make. You mentioned Joshua. I was just going to say, it just brought up a perfect line from Joshua to go with this. But Joshua 1:9 is, be strong and be courageous. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you and will bless you everywhere you go. And that's just something to walk with every single day, is having that strength and courage, knowing that everything will be okay, because God is the side. You're on God's side. And he will bless you and make everything okay everywhere you go. But you have to walk with that strength and courage, because fear, worry, anxiety, all of those things are not from God. And so when you're feeling them, when you're having those thoughts and emotions, rebuke them, cast them away, put your thoughts on heavenly things, because those are not from God. And that's what's plaguing everyone right now.
And that was really well said. Over the weekend, wide receiver for the Vikings, he used to play for the Cardinals. He was drafted by them. His name's Rondell Moore, 25 years old. He took his life.
Really sad. Yeah.
And I guess I would just, if we have a little bit of a platform to say anything to anybody, like, if you need help, like, get help. Like, don't. That's the last option. You do not want to do that. And I just know that this world, it feels like it's all coming down on us. And if you turn on your phone and look at things, or you look at your TV, it just seems like everything's bad. And this is like the perfect opportunity. Like, God is calling you back right now. He's telling all the people out there that, he needs you to come home, because it's like, this world's not meant for us. We're supposed to be not of this world. That's why we named the podcast that. Like, you got to go home. And basically, there's a safe place there. And is it safe all the time when you're here? No, but when you go to him, you're going to find a safe space. So I just pray for the people going through everything right now, that we're not pointing sides to anything. What were we going to say, Josh?
I was just going to say, just to add to your point about that, if someone is feeling that out there right now, loneliness and depression and all that accompany it, but just know that you are loved. You are loved by more people than you realize. You are loved by your Creator and God, and you matter. You matter significantly to many people in this world, and you have a place here. So never consider the alternative.
Reviewing your Bible quotes of the day. Did any of them live up? I think they did.
I think they both did. Let's see here. We've got Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. And I think that does play, just not understanding what these psyops, what any of it are, but just acknowledge God and allow him to guide you. In Ephesians chapter 5, verses 6-10, let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not become partners with them. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true, and try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. And that one, I think, works perfectly. We are going to be surrounded by darkness all of the time. It is around us in everything we do. And right now, with the way media and news cycles are running, with the way our social media, just the content that is around us all the time, we are going to be surrounded by darkness. Do not partake. Do not become part of it. Be a child of light and spread that lightness everywhere you go.
Yep. All right, Josh, is there anything else you want to add to the end of this podcast before we get out of here?
I don't think so. Just appreciate anybody out there listening. We love you. Please like and subscribe so this gets out to more people. But yeah, we'll see you next podcast.
Yeah, see you guys. Love you guys. Stop recording.
Stop recording.